Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the April 7th, 2019 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE. And of course, today is a especially special podcast because tonight is Wrestlemania, the 35th Wrestlemania to be exact. And for anyone who's a fan of wrestling, a fan of the WWE, knows that WrestleMania is the biggest night of the year. A lot of the best matches are presumably going to take place tonight, and it's going to be. Oh, it's always been, at least in recent years, the longest pay-per-view as well. So at the moment, according to WWE.com's website, and I remind you this is the day of WrestleMania, they have 15 matches listed on the official card. As I've been doing in the past and as I've always been doing since I've been conducting this podcast, I do not give my prediction for any of the kickoff matches or pre-show matches. So according to WWE's website, they do have 15 matches listed on the main card. Having said that, I do suspect that WWE might throw one or two of those matches on the pre-show kickoff show portion as well. But for me, doing my predictions, again, I've certainly been lately trying to wait until the day of to give my predictions, just so the match card is as final as it's going to appear. And that's what I can go by. So for me, officially, I'm giving 15 predictions. If some of those wind up on the kickoff show, well, I'm still going to count them towards my prediction count for the year. And before I get into these 15 predictions for tonight's pay-per-view, I'd like to mention that going into tonight's show, which is the final one of my second season of doing this podcast, my prediction rate for the year has been, out of 103 matches of all the pay-per-views since last year's WrestleMania, I have guessed 66 correct. So 66 out of 103. After WrestleMania tonight, I will have my final tally for the year, and I'll see how I compared to my first season. I believe I have improved, and we'll see if I can keep that rate going into my third season of doing this podcast. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to tonight's show, the matches on the card. The first match listed on the card is the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. To me, there's a very clear-cut favorite in this Battle Royal and actually the men's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. In this Women's Battle Royal, one person in particular who I felt has really kind of been not handed the greatest. They haven't been giving her the dues that she deserves. And it might sound funny because she was recently champion as of about a week and a half ago. But of course, I'm talking about Asuka. Asuka has been one of the most dominant female wrestlers in the company in the last few years. She's been a part of the main roster, and she had a long-held undefeated streak in NXT for many years. So she is quite clearly one of the best women's competitors in the world, and certainly within the WWE's company. So, and from being defeating Becky Lynch by submission at Royal Rumble just a few months ago to losing by submission to Charlotte Flair 2 weeks ago, she became a bit of an afterthought. Becky Lynch, even though she defeated her at Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch was inserted into the Women's Royal Rumble match later that night, won the match, and of course, all the attention was focused on Becky's opponent, which would become Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. So Asuka really was overlooked. She wasn't featured on many of the pay-per-view matches in the last few months since Royal Rumble. And again, they made her drop her belt to Charlotte Flair just about a week and a half ago. So you know what? To me, this is definitely, she deserves this, and she needs to be back in the title picture as soon as possible. So I think for the WWE overlooking her a bit lately and not giving her the proper credit, Asuka is my pick to win the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. And the second match is the men's, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And speaking of someone like Asuka who was not receiving her fair share of the dues that she's been paying, in the men's battle royal, there's also a clear-cut person in my mind who has been a main event caliber performer has not won any titles, with the exception of the Raw Tag Team Championships for a day or two last year. And this person I'm talking about is the Beast, or the Monster Among Men, Braun Strowman. This guy has been a force. He's been dominant. He's been in the main event picture for the last couple years, and again, startlingly, they haven't given him really any runs with any belts yet. Even that one that I just mentioned, that Raw Tag Team Championship he won, he only won it for like a day or so, and he picked a child out of the crowd to be his partner when he did win that. So it was a bit of a ludicrous storyline by the company. Regardless, Braun Strowman is someone that I believe certainly in this next year following WrestleMania tonight, he's going to get his title opportunities and should really win one of the belts there on either Raw or SmackDown. So at the very least they can do is reward Braun Strowman, since he's such a dominant force. He's going to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, in my opinion. Moving on to the third match of the night, which is the Raw Tag Team Championship match, featuring champions of the Revival taking on the tag team of Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. This is a match that I suspect might get moved to the kickoff show. It wasn't even advertised at all on any of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live these past several weeks. And as such, I don't think any storyline changes are really going to occur here. Regardless, since this is mentioned on the main card, I have to treat it as such, and I'm sticking with the Revival to retain their Raw Tag Team Championships against Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Sadly, Curt Hawkins' losing streak will continue, I believe, tonight. So hopefully it'll change in the next year, but we'll see. But the Revival is my pick to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. Moving on to the fourth match of the night, the other tag team championships, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. This match is a fatal four-way match featuring the champions, the Usos, versus The Bar, versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, versus Ricochet and Aleister Black. I've been saying this certainly since the last podcast, for the last pay-per-view prediction show. Ricochet and Aleister Black, I think, have gotten more screen time than just about anybody in the company over these last couple months. And they've impressed along the way, defeating a lot of really great tag teams since they've been appearing on the main card. I think the company would be making a huge blunder if they don't reward Ricochet and Aleister Black after giving them such momentum. Because if you don't, quite frankly, it just doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't start giving so much momentum and hype to any individual or team if you're not going to capitalize and do something about it. So even though all these teams are great, they're all, with the exception of Ricochet and Aleister Black, the rest of them have won many championships. Even if they haven't won tag team championships, they've all been many champions of all different kinds. So very worthy opponents, but I still think with the hype surrounding Ricochet and Aleister Black that these guys are going to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships tonight. So that's my pick for that match. The next match on the card is Kurt Angle's farewell match. And Kurt Angle is taking on Baron Corbin in his last match with the WWE. A lot of people on social media were very disappointed, very upset with Baron Corbin being selected as Kurt Angle's farewell match. And here's where this match can be a little bit interesting. I think in this WrestleMania tonight, we're going to see a lot of feel-good moments, a lot of feel-good results that the audience will just want to see certain people win, and I think the company will make those correct decisions. This is one where, at first glance, you would say, well, Kurt Angle in his last match, he's going to win. And I'm still leaning towards that. However, it's a time-honored tradition in wrestling. I would say not just in WWE, but in professional wrestling. When a performer is on their way out, what they like to do is what they call give a rub to someone else coming up. Basically what they're doing is trying to pass the torch, give a big, strong push to someone else who's going to stay in the company and help them out. Kurt Angle has been nothing but an incredible performer. He's he hasn't been in WWE his whole career. He went to other companies as well, but he is just one of the finest wrestlers that's been around in any company in the world. One of my personal favorites, and I was also lucky enough to be on hand for his WWE debut at Survivor Series way back 20 years ago in 1999. So I certainly have strong feelings for this guy. He ranks as one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. And even though I know Kurt Angle would do the honorable thing and pass the torch, give the strong push to someone else, I think just considering the backlash by the fan base and the WWE universe for having Baron Corbin be in this final match, I think that would be just a huge mistake for them to make Kurt Angle lose. So I think even though Kurt Angle himself, the person, would probably be okay with doing that, passing the torch to someone else, especially a bit of a hot heel character like Baron Corbin, I still think the WWE and Vince is going to choose for Kurt Angle to win in a very feel-good moment there tonight at WrestleMania 35. So Kurt Angle is my pick to win in his farewell match. The next match on the card is for the Intercontinental Championship. It is featuring champion Bobby Lashley taking on Finn Balor, who is now had announced that he's going to be appearing as his Demon King, his demon persona. And anytime Finn Balor has pretty much appeared as the demon, he's been victorious. And I like his odds tonight as well. He's a guy kind of like Braun Strowman. I mentioned this on previous podcasts, who has paid his dues for so many years, has been rewarded very little. I hope that he wins tonight and has a lengthy title run as the Intercontinental Champion. He deserves to be in the main event picture, to be perfectly honest with you, in my opinion. Considering he won the Universal Championship when it was first introduced, but only held it for one day because Seth Rollins, who he defeated, injured him from his careless wrestling tactics. So since then, Balor has never really held on to any titles, with this exception of the Intercontinental Championship recently, but had to lose it to Bobby Lashley. The Demon Finn Balor is definitely going to win, in my opinion, tonight, the Intercontinental Championship match, even despite, I'm sure, Bobby Lashley's little henchman Leo Rush trying to intervene. Finn Balor is going to come away with the belt tonight, Intercontinental Championship, in my opinion. Moving on to the next match it's for the United States Championship, featuring champion Samoa Joe taking on Rey Mysterio. Even though, as I mentioned, this is a night that will be filled with feel-good moments, this is one of those cases where I believe that even though Rey Mysterio is definitely a popular fan favorite amongst the WWE fans, I think that Samoa Joe hasn't held this title very long, and he's another guy that hasn't held any titles besides this in the WWE, and he's a great heel, a great wrestler, and I think this is actually a feud that's going to continue on beyond WrestleMania. I can't say that for many of these matches tonight, but this is one that I believe will carry on for at least a few more months. But tonight, I think I got to go with Samoa Joe retaining the belt over Rey Mysterio, extending his reign as United States Champion. So Samoa Joe is my pick to defeat Rey Mysterio in this match. The next one on the card is one which I hope and I believe will be one of the best matches of the night, possibly a match of the year candidate. It's not for any title of any sort, but it's featuring two guys who are surefire Hall of Famers in AJ Styles and Randy Orton. This is a tough one because both guys are so great. Both guys have such storied careers, and both guys are still performing, near the top of their game, I'd say, despite their ages right now. This one is obviously a big one for bragging rights, and it's tough to say because both are such excellent wrestlers. If I would grade this based on who's the actual better in-ring wrestler, I might have to favor AJ Styles. However, I believe Randy Orton, being with the company so many years, ranking among the all-time wrestlers for most championship reigns, I think Randy Orton's the guy. I think he's going to win tonight, and I kind of want to see that happen because he's someone that's been a bit overlooked in the last 2 years, kind of playing mid-card roles, not really in the title scenes, whereas AJ Styles held the belt, the SmackDown Championship the WWE Championship for about a year, and he's been constantly in the main event picture. So Randy Orton, I'd like to see win this match and then subsequently start competing again and win a few more titles and chase that record that's shared by John Cena and Ric Flair. It'd be nice to see him win a few more and make a run at that, especially since John Cena has been scarcely seen in the WWE this past year, and it doesn't seem to be. I mean, you would think, if anything, he's going to compete at WrestleMania tonight, but he is not. So that's kind of a shock. I thought months ago that they were going to build up to Cena winning and breaking that record and winning the 17th championship overall, but he's nowhere to be seen. It sounds like he might appear at WrestleMania, but he's not going to be competing, which is a bit of a surprise. And on that note, it's also surprising that The Undertaker is nowhere to be mentioned. So a WrestleMania featuring both, without featuring both John Cena and Undertaker, or one of each, it's been a long time since that's happened, and it feels a little bit weird, to be honest. But I'm going off on a tangent there. Back to this match, AJ Styles and Randy Orton. Randy Orton is my selection to win, and I hope he gets another run and wins a few more top championships in this next year. Okay, moving along. We're on to the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, which is a fatal four-way match. This is a match that, of course, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship is pretty new. Was recently introduced a couple months ago. Bayley and Sasha Banks are the champions and were the first crown champions, as I correctly predicted back at that pay-per-view when they did win. So, and they were deserving of it. They're two women that have been with the company for a while. They are fan favorites. They have paid their dues. These are the type of people that deserve it. However, they got some stiff competition in this matchup, in this fatal four-way. They are taking on the tag team of Beth Phoenix, who has recently returned, teaming up with Natalya, taking on the team of the Iconics, and versus the team of Nia Jax and Tamina. I'll say this. I think all of these teams will each get a chance to be champion this year. Tonight, though, my pick, and I think it actually has a little bit to do with... I was already heading this way before the events of yesterday, but there's been... social media has been blowing up last night with the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony. WWE changed things up this year by holding the induction ceremony speeches. The wrestlers and the people being inducted were speaking inside of a side of the ring at a live arena, whereas other years they've had them be on a stage in an arena or wherever. And the big news, of course, is that during the Hart Foundation's Hall of Fame induction speech, Bret the Hitman Hart, my all-time favorite wrestler, was in the ring accepting this honor on behalf and with Natalya, Jim the Anvil Neidhart's daughter. So the two of them were in the ring, and all of a sudden some crazy fan got into the ring and tackled Bret down to the ring mat. Fortunately, many wrestlers and security then pounced on this guy very quickly after. Bret was fine. Natalya was fine. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing, WWE, that you let this kind of thing happen, like such a security breach, and that a man like Bret, who is as revered as he is, a man who has survived, he battled and dealt with a stroke, and he also survived cancer. This guy is, he's an amazing human being, and in my opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time. It's just embarrassing that you let something like that even happen to someone like him. Like, you need better security. They better go back in subsequent years to their having performers give their speeches on the stage where they can, watch people more carefully and not let something like this happen. So anyways, I bring all of this up because they should, and Natalya, I got to also mention, even though Bret was tackled, Natalya was right at Bret's side, and she fell down in a skirmish too. I don't know if she could have taken some bumps as well. I don't know. It was, everybody kind of piled on there, and they got Natalya and Bret out of there quickly. But even so, that's terrible that she also was, she was underneath this melee that ensued. So we have the nostalgia factor with Beth Phoenix returning to a ring. The fans seem to love her, and she looks great. She still looks like the Beth Phoenix of old, and she's teaming with Natalya, who really got, for lack of a better word, screwed over last night. Her and Brett, they got. Yeah, I mean, that's something that shouldn't happen to them. They should definitely be rewarded tonight and win the belts. And like I said, I think all these teams will be women's tag team champions this year. The Iconics, Nia Jax and Tamina, and I think Bayley and Sasha Banks will regain the belts at some point. But Beth Phoenix and Natalya are the deserving team to win tonight, and I hope they do. So that's my pick to win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, Beth Phoenix and Natalya. Okay, moving along. We still have a few more matches to go here. The next one on the card is Roman Reigns taking on Drew McIntyre. Roman Reigns, of course, returned in recent weeks after his battle with leukemia, and he's now in remission, which is great. It's wonderful to have him back. Drew McIntyre in Roman's absence, and even before Roman left to deal with his health issues with leukemia, Drew McIntyre has been one of the hottest heel bad guy characters in the company. He's got, I think, a very bright future, going to be in title pictures for the next foreseeable future in the next coming years. But I think just with Reigns' popularity, with the feel-good story of Reigns returning after leukemia, it would be really dumb. It would be a really illogical move by WWE to have Roman Reigns lose. So I'm picking Roman Reigns to be victorious. This is another feud which I could see extending beyond WrestleMania tonight. But Roman Reigns, I feel certainly with the feel-good factor, he's got to win tonight. So Roman Reigns is my pick in that match. The next matchup is a Falls Count Anywhere match between Shane McMahon versus The Miz. Shane McMahon is, as we know, after they lost their tag team titles, they had lost them, but then they were vying for them again at the last pay-per-view. Shane McMahon then turned on The Miz, attacked Miz's father, who was ringside. So The Miz, in a weird recent twist, is now the babyface good guy character, and Shane McMahon is the heel bad guy. Shane McMahon, he's not someone who's going to keep fighting after this, probably until next year's WrestleMania, even though they should give these spots to other more deserving wrestlers who are, working 300 days a year, and not to the boss's son. I like Shane. He's okay as a wrestler. Not good, but he's okay. But he shouldn't be getting these prime time spots at WrestleMania and getting a big paycheck when other guys much more deserving should get them, who are busting their butts year round. So anyways, The Miz, I think, will win this match because, of course, he's going to keep fighting. Shane McMahon will probably bow out and disappear for a while, or if not, he will probably just not fight anyways. He won't be competing. He'll probably just be doing other stuff backstage or whatever. So The Miz is my pick for that match. The next match on the card, we are getting to... Okay, this is match number 12 out of 15. So we're almost there, folks. Is a no-holds-barred match between Triple H and Batista, the returning Batista. Again, kind of like my sentiment with Shane McMahon. Triple H, you're another guy that you always insist on being on the WrestleMania card in a great spot, like in a high-profile match, get a big paycheck. Is that fair? You're trying to build this company for the future, and who the heck wants to see Triple H fight anymore? Anyways, I don't. Him versus Batista, I mean, this happened at WrestleMania, what? This was like at WrestleMania 21 when these guys fought for the championship in the main event there. 14 years later, Batista has had a very successful career in Hollywood, getting a lot of movie roles. Triple H is obviously barely competing, only when it seems to serve him financially really kindly. I don't know. This match, I could do without it, and they're trying to make it exciting. Oh, Triple H's career is putting his career on the line. Although I should note, on the WWE website, there's no reference to that stipulation here. I don't know if they've abandoned that, but regardless, Triple H in no shape or form is going to retire at the hands of Batista. This one is a bit of a no-brainer. Sadly, I don't know, Batista, I think, only complied and came back to wrestle this match because he's probably getting paid, many suitcases full of cash to do this. So this is just a cash grab match with no future implications. It's kind of stupid, a waste of time. Regardless, Triple H is going to win. And this is nepotism at its finest, folks. Triple H, being a part of the McMahon family, gets to do whatever he wants and gets to always be featured on the big cards. Like, time to step down, Triple H. Time to step down, Shane McMahon. Let other more deserving guys get good matches at WrestleMania. But yeah, here we are, another year, another Triple H match at WrestleMania, when he's going to win on top of that. Okay, down to the final 3 matches of the night, folks. These are the 3 top championship matches. This first one, the next one here is for the Universal Championship, and it is a match between champion Brock Lesnar taking on Seth Rollins. This one, even though Lesnar's been quite a force in the last couple years, barely losing to anybody, or if he has lost, it's been in controversial fashion and has won the belt back quickly. I think certainly the company, this match I think was designed during Roman Reigns' absence. I don't know if Seth Rollins was always the guy they were pegging to be in the main event with, or in a top title match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but they needed to fill that void when Roman Reigns went down. So who's next to put in there is Roman's good buddy, another guy who's a fan favorite, sells a lot of merchandise, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, in his to his credit too, has had a really prominent year. He's been great, winning championships. He's been putting on some pretty great matches. I took a dig at him earlier for hurting Finn Balor a few years ago. And the truth of the matter is Seth Rollins has had that sort of tendency. He's been notorious for injuring his opponents in the ring at times, which is not good. That's not the mark of a true quality in-ring performer. Besides that, he hasn't had many of those in recent years, though, so it seems like he's being more of a safe worker in the ring, which is good. He should be. And I think it's time that they're going to pass the torch a little bit here. Brock Lesnar, I think, will drop the belt to Seth Rollins. I've been pondering this thought for the last few weeks. I don't think it's likely to happen, but I think, oh boy, would it be a great twist to happen. So far on this card, I'm looking at it, and there's not really any major twists I can see happening. Someone like last year, for example, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura had their match. AJ Styles defeats Nakamura. Nakamura turns, low blows AJ, turns heel right there on the spot. The crowd was stunned, and it was a great twist. Other years, they've done twists like this. One that would completely stun and shock everybody, and it would be, if you're looking to capitalize on the ultimate moment to do it, something they've talked about for years, or at least you hear wrestling pundits talk about for a long time, which is the prospect of Roman Reigns turning heel, becoming a bad guy. A few years ago, as wrestling fans would recall, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns fought in the WWE WrestleMania main event. Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, left as the champion. It would be a real interesting twist for Roman Reigns to have some sort of interference in this match and screw Seth Rollins over. Now, as interesting as I think that would be, and I think that would be for sure, I think, one of the overriding storylines of this WrestleMania if that were to happen. I think the odds of it happening, sadly, are pretty small, because Roman Reigns is so popular, especially coming back from his battle with leukemia. And fair enough, I wouldn't, if they want to keep him as a fan favorite babyface, then that's okay. I understand that. It's just funny because for years they tried making him that role, that character with the crowd. And as we all know, the crowd threw it right back at the company and said, no way. Like, they booed Roman Reigns heavily at every turn they could, because they don't like being told. We don't like being told who we should have to cheer for. But since everything happened with Roman Reigns and his health situation, since he's been back, he's been a prominent fan favorite, which is ironic considering the company tried so many measures to make that happen and could not. But then a real life situation happened to Roman, and now everyone loves him. So I don't think it will happen that they'll turn him heel. Maybe they never will. Kind of like John Cena. They never made John Cena really a heel, and maybe that's how Roman Reigns' career will be. Maybe he'll never be a bad guy. But if there was ever a great moment to do that, it is tonight. during this Universal Championship match. But again, the odds are pretty low on that. But so to conclude, my pick for that match is Seth Rollins will be the new Universal Champion, in my opinion. Now, the second to last match of the night is for the WWE Championship match, featuring the new Daniel Bryan defending the WWE Championship against Kofi Kingston. This one is probably going to be a great one because the crowd is surely going to be this will be one of the most raucous moments of the night. Kofi Kingston, he's had so much momentum going forward in the last few months, really. It's undeniable that the WWE Universe wants him to get, like, talking about guys like Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, who have been paying their dues with no reward. Kofi Kingston, been with the WWE for 11 years, has never had a championship opportunity match, so a championship singles opportunity. So he deserves this opportunity, and this is a feud that I see will continue on beyond tonight. But I think the right thing to do for the company and the right thing to do to please the WWE Universe tonight is for Kofi Kingston to win the WWE Championship. That'll be a huge moment, a huge pop with the crowd. It'll be awesome. So Kofi Kingston will win the WWE Championship tonight. And now the final match of the night, the main event for the first time ever, featuring an all-women's championship match. This one is now, ever since Asuka lost her belt to Charlotte Flair about a week and a half ago, this match has 2 championships on the line, and this is going to be a winner-take-all triple threat match. Both Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships will be won by one individual. The Raw Women's Championship is Ronda Rousey. The SmackDown Women's champion, sorry. So Ronda Rousey is the Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte Flair is the SmackDown Women's Champion, and the third competitor is Becky Lynch. Similar to Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch, well, she's been red hot with the WWE Universe for even longer than Kofi Kingston. It's been for many months now that she's been one of the top, most popular fan favorite characters. And all signs point to her winning both belts tonight and having, again, another great feel-good moment. So I think this night's going to be full of feel-good moments. I don't really see anywhere where a big twist is going to occur. Hopefully Vince will do something like that to make things interesting and not so predictable. Because right now, I think this card is fairly predictable. At least compared to other WrestleManias. But we'll see. I think there will be some surprises in store. There has to be. But for some of these top title matches, I think they're fairly clear in what they're going to do. So there you have it, folks. If you have listened to this whole podcast, thanks very much. I know there's a lot of matches to go through, but you can thank the WWE for that. But having said that, I do love WrestleMania. We're going to have some great moments tonight that will certainly be some of the finest ones of the year, and we're going to definitely see some new champions crowned, and WrestleMania is just, there's a special magic about WrestleMania, so I'm very much excited for it. So thank you to my listeners for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you liked what you heard, and enjoy the show tonight, and see you all next time.